So before I ever owned an Xbox, and I used to see the Forza series, and I'm talking the original Forza Motorsport series, it was something where, it was kind of a joke, a meme, no matter how you want to put it. It was just something where you knew that you was going to see it every year at E3. It was like, oh yeah, Forza, Gears of War, Halo. Those were the three IPs that you were almost certain that you was going to see something from at a E3 when it came to the Xbox. Gladly, we are in much different times, and there's a lot more variety in the Xbox ecosystem now, and there's even a lot more variety in the Forza ecosystem now. Because the Forza series, one that I do enjoy, I've played Forza 7, I own it, and I enjoy it, but the Horizon series is the series where I have the most fun. It's a series that when I first played Horizon 3, I was captivated by it. But I didn't get an Xbox until Horizon 4 was going to release. And when Horizon 4 was released and I finally played that game basically stole my racing heart, and it's literally my favorite racing game probably of all time now. I say probably because F-Zero GX will always have a special place in my heart, but as it stands right now, Forza Horizon 4 is literally the greatest racing experience I've had. And this is not me comparing it to stuff like Mario Kart, just to be clear. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking racing games. This open world, super dense, beautiful visuals, just take on the Forza experience, which takes it from being a crazy sim racer to being far more casual, if that's the word you want to use. I say just far more fun and playable. Personally, the Forza Horizon series is special, and it's a series now that every single time that it releases, I'm gonna be there to play it as long as the quality remains like it has been since Forza 3, which is what I've played. I know Forza 2 and 1 are very much loved. I didn't play those, but 3 and 4 are the ones I played, and I absolutely adore them. And I've been playing Forza Horizon 4 consistently since 2018 when I purchased an Xbox One X. I haven't stopped, and I'm still playing. Every single week since having this console, I've booted up Forza at one point because I want to cruise around, because I just want to complete this race, that race, maybe a little challenge. No matter the reason, I find myself coming back to it. But over the last few years, I've realized that the Forza series is one that's plagued by this little thing called licensing. And because of that, a lot of the times Forza games get delisted. Now, for example, Forza Horizon 3. I played the demo tons of times, but I didn't purchase it until it was going to be delisted, and they had all the content, the full game, fully featured for dirt cheap, basically, to purchase because it wasn't going to be available to purchase. You can still download it if you own it, forever, basically. But if you never purchased it, yeah, your chances of purchasing is basically impossible now. The best you can do now is go and try to hunt down the physical version so that you can own the game. That would be the only way I can get the original Forza Horizon or the sequel Forza Horizon 2. But right now I own 3, and eventually I'll purchase 4 when I guess it'll inevitably be getting delisted and being removed from Game Pass. I said, you know what, let me purchase it now because I've actually purchased all the DLC. So I own all the DLC except the actual game, which I don't need because of Game Pass. Beautiful. But eventually I will need it because, like I said, licensing issues cause the games to be delisted. Now, this is my take on what I feel the future of Horizon should be. Forza Motorsport should stay what it is. Hell, a lot of people, tend to not hype Forza Motorsport, the new one that's coming out. I can't say, oh, I can't number it like, oh, Forza Motorsport 8, because it's not that. Right now, currently, it's just Motorsport. Whether it's a reboot, reimagining, just refresh like God of War was, it's all well and good. It doesn't matter. It's the same developers. It's going to be great. But there was one little thing that was mentioned that a lot of people overlook. And because they overlook this, they aren't really excited for it like if it was a Horizon game coming. But I am excited for the new Forza game, which is not a Horizon game. For the simple fact that when I played Forza 7, I'm like, this is a great game. Like, great top to bottom, looks beautiful. Only thing, it just feels old. It feels last gen. And I mean last gen, because Burnout Paradise was already one of my favorite racing games, and that was an open world. It just felt last gen because it was like, oh yeah, pick race in the menu, do the race, go back to the menu, pick race, rinse and repeat. Whereas Burnout, like I just mentioned, and Forza Horizon, whether it's 3, 4, is open world. And you go to your races, you travel to your races. Yeah, you can, quickly, just fast travel there. It might cost you something that, until you basically unlock enough where you make it free. But it is what it is. You get to travel to the locations, to the race. You get to travel to your game. It's almost like Mario, but way better. Where I always said I'd rather just go, into a stage and collect star after star after star in the Mario game. I don't really care to be running around Peach's castle, hunting down my next, a course. Let's put it like that. But that really, it's like that for Forza, but it doesn't really apply because the running around in Peach's Castle in Forza's case, in Horizon's case, is driving. It's the main thing you do in a driving game. It's jump in the car and drive around. So when you're driving to the next location, it's open world, and you crashing through brick walls and gates and going through mud, dirt, different seasons, snow, whatever the case may be, it's super fun. And when you got a whole living world with other cars driving around, and there's certain streets that you can go to, and there's people just always racing there. They're not sanctioned racing, they're just racing there with respect. They stand next to each other, honk horn 3 times, you go. Like, it's a living, breathing world, literally. And anybody who plays Forza Horizon 4 knows exactly the area I'm talking about that leads through 2 tunnels. There's always people on that road, on that highway racing. That's the reason why I bought a house right next to that actual road, because it's always, where it's popping, where it's mad people at. That aspect of Forza is what made the Horizon series, a cut above 7 for me. It was like, yeah, none of this menu stuff. I'm just always playing, always doing the main thing I'm here for, which is driving. And then when I want to drive, like really focus and a challenge, I got races and different variety and different styles of races, gimmick races, and by gimmick I mean racing a giant, a jet or a Halo race and stuff like that. There's a lot to be had in there. Forza Horizon is a series that people anticipate because of everything I just said, and then not anticipating Forza Motorsport, the new one, because of everything I just said isn't a part of the Forza series. But that's the one thing that people didn't pay attention to, is that they clearly stated and announced that this brand new motorsport will be open world like the Horizon series. No more of that menu to menu. I mean, they can still have menu if you want to go race to race to race for those who want that. But there will be an open world where you're going to travel to races and stuff like that. And that's where I instantly said, super interested. It may not be called Horizon, but in my book, it's a Horizon game because it took what's the main thing from the Horizon series, which is an open world to explore. At the same time, you have all the races. Now, the races probably are going to be super standard, very much standard motorsport races. But even from the original trailer that you saw, like the roads look pretty interesting and stuff like that. Yeah, it looked like a sanctioned race, but that's fine. I don't care. Racing is racing. If I got an open world to run around with, and again, a bunch of gamers all around racing and stuff like that, that's what makes the Horizon series great to me. That's why I'm super excited for the new one. So don't overlook that. But anyway, what I want from the Horizon series, I want the series now, since the Motorsport series is gonna get the great aspects from the Horizon series. I mean, listen, the locations are also important, and I'll talk about at the end of this, I guess, where do I want the next Forza to take place. But the locations, yeah, that's the main thing, but it's the open world to me. The gameplay aspect, that's the game design right there. If they're taking that, cool. That means now the door is open for the Horizon series to change. Now, no, we all love it. It's perfect. It's the main one to many of us now. But here's the change that I want. If the games are going to be delisted, then something clearly needs to change. Contracts need to be rethought and stuff like that. And that's just, the fact of the matter. And if they can be renegotiated so that the games don't be delisted, because these games got to live and breathe on Game Pass. Remember, like, nobody wants games that are just gonna come to Game Pass, especially first party ones that are supposed to stay there forever. Like going to Game Pass and then, oh yeah, we got to remove the game. This great masterpiece, 10 out of 10 experience, because yeah, Honda is mad that we still using their license, and Ferrari is like, yo, pay up. It's been 3 years, like. If that's the case, then I say it's time to move the Horizon series away from real cars. And I know that's crazy. Like, what? Like, are you serious? I say, yeah, I say, look, you can still base it very much in reality, but just take it slightly into the future. Just because you go into the future don't mean they got to be a goddamn, oh, this is a post-apocalyptic world. No, go into a beautiful, futuristic looking world that's a real location. All the real locations in Forza anyway are like a hodgepodge of that location. It's not really, street for street, road for road, the location. So you can take a real location. Let's say it's goddamn, I don't know. Let's say it's Japan, right? Uh, it's Japan, and you can see it's Japan, but it's clearly futuristic in a sense. So that way the brands of the car could be crazy. They can look crazy. You can make a whole ton of made up brands and stuff like that. And hell, the community of Forza makes up a ton of cars and stuff like that that you can buy, that you can put on auctions in the actual game. So they're gonna help you out either way. If that's the problem, like for playground games, like, oh yeah, we gotta create every single brand and stuff like that. Like, yeah, do that. You know what I'm saying? And then put a ton of cars under that brand, truck, like SUV, every single kind of vehicle you could put, have motorcycles in there, all of that. Just take it futuristic. Just move it away from being tied to these contracts, so that the games can live and breathe forever. So you'll have your Forza Motorsport where those contracts and the money that you've been making from having those deals and stuff like that is still going, but then you have this whole other side thing. It would be your own personal Mario Kart Microsoft in a sense. It's not Mario Kart, but it could be. There could be a mode in there where your cards got items. It doesn't matter. After playing the Lego stuff and seeing what they did there, the Fortune Island, and seeing what they doing there, and even down to those gimmick races like the Halo one, it's like, yo, clearly this developer wants to be making all kinds of crazy stuff and not being tied to the physics of the real world and stuff like that. So you can do that. You can have a floating vehicles. I'm not saying flying cars, but floating vehicles. Like, oh yeah, that one don't got wheels. It's just like basically like an F-Zero car just floating around. You know what I'm saying? It's still grounded in reality, but it has a different mechanic imagery to it. I'm not saying put in flying cars, but you could have, hovering cars. Like, there's a goddamn hovercraft in Forza. You know what I'm saying? So you can have a hovercraft in a Forza Horizon series that's not taking itself serious. That's not, attached to any real world thing. So I say, make it like, hell, you got the technology from Flight Simulator. You can make it a one-to-one real world roads and everything, and then build on top of that your sci-fi utopia, beautiful skies, and literally skyscrapers that go up into the sky and stuff like that, and just a ton of crazy different game modes to have fun. I mean, Forza has a battle royale mode. It has a capture the flag mode. It has like a protect the base mode where people got to get flags and then try to drive your car right, like their car right through a zoned area, basically. Like, it's super fun. There's a King of the Hill, where like a team shares the flag and teams are all chasing, trying to like take the flag. Like, there's so much in there where I know for a fact this developer doesn't care to be tied to real world vehicles and having their games delisted. So I say, take the Forza series in a whole new direction. That's something that I genuinely want. And it's crazy to be a fan of a series and say, yeah, I wanted to, become something completely different. But not really. It's still going to be everything we love about it. The cars, the customization, the style of races, the crazy races, the battle royale mode, all of that is still going to be there. Like, don't take out Eliminator. Keep it in there and just make it bigger, and it'll be there from day one instead of, coming later. No different from what Warzone did with Call of Duty. It came later, and Eliminator came later into Forza Horizon. And Horizon is still getting content. It's getting now Lego vehicles in the actual real world. Like, that was awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it's super cool to see these games continue to get content and grow and thrive and become something more. No different from Halo. It's going to launch in November. It's going to, live and grow and breathe for years, probably a decade, before you get the next one and stuff like that. And Forza is one of those series that it's currently doing that, Horizon 4. So I want to see that, continue and not be something where, oh yeah, they got their legs cut off and it's because of, licensing. If it's because, oh yeah, they cut the legs off because they moved on, they're doing their own thing, I understand that, which I think that's already happening. We got two teams at Playground, one is making Fable, the next Horizon game is being made by the second team. That's great. I'm excited for it. But how awesome would it be if now Xbox has that other thing? Where it's like, look, you got a mainline Forza game, and now you got this crazy wild from the Forza team, Horizon. It's still Forza Horizon, called Forza Horizon, but it's just Forza Horizon 2099. You know, no different from goddamn. What was it called? What was that game? It wasn't Cruising. It was Rush. San Francisco Rush 2049. Like, I thought that was awesome on 64. Like, I had regular Rush, then you had Rush 2, and they added like a create like a playground thing, and then you had a 2049. Like, just amazing stuff. And that series evolved. Now that series still don't exist, but I would love to see something like that for the Forza series. Look, if any series could do it, it's the Horizon series. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll have areas that's super beautiful greenery driving through, and it looks like, oh yeah, this is regular, you know, whatever location it is. Like, I can find this place in the real world, and then you'll drive into areas that look straight out of Dread or Alita Battle Angel. You know what I'm saying? Just not as dreary as Dread. You know, more pretty and lively. Like, I think that would be something great. But anyway, I said at the end of this that I would mention, you know, where I want to see the next Forza Horizon take place. Me personally, I think it would be dope if they did both islands of New Zealand. I know a lot of people want Japan, but I would love New Zealand. I think you got a lot of variety there, from cities to, you know, like just everything you can find it there. All kinds of, you know, seasons you can find there. So if I had to choose, I would pick New Zealand. Listen, we just went through a pandemic. I don't know where they chose to make the game, but I know for a lot of these games, they go to real world locations. Like, I know Edinburgh and all of that stuff from Forza Horizon 4 is where the actual development team lives. At least most of the development team. I think Playground Games is there. So that's why they made it right there in their backyard. And I felt like, damn, if it was any time that they needed to do that, it was last year because of the pandemic. You know, it was not much traveling and stuff like that. But since and it is Microsoft, they got money, and since they already did the backyard, they can't do, you know, the same area again. Hopefully, was the only open place during the whole pandemic, New Zealand. So hopefully they could have gotten some of that development team, if not the whole development team, over there to capture roles, locations, all of that stuff that they do. Or maybe they could do it remotely through, you know, like their Azure service. And I know they got like cloud maps of the whole world and all of that. That's what they use for the flight simulator. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they could do it like that. But if, let's just say, if that was the only place they can actually physically go to, New Zealand was the perfect place. Because then the game could have been developed in development all through last year and this year, if they would, you know, relocate it there. Which I know that's kind of like a hard ask, but if anybody could do it, it's Microsoft. So yeah, my choice would be New Zealand, just because I think it's beautiful and I think it will make for really great, fun video games. So yeah, New Zealand is my choice, and that's gonna do it for this Forza Horizon potential future video. You know, thanks for watching. Until the next one, stay active. Peace.